And this is also a big reason why I've actually started enjoying playing with Manchester United. Hey my people, how you doing? I hope you're having a damn great day. Welcome back to the Brom Squad Gaming channel. And obviously you've clicked on this video to have a look at the sliders that I use in my game. Now, in normal circumstances, in previous FIFAs and FC24, I've always said that I use the default settings, the default sliders, the default everything, because I think that is the way that EA intended for us to play the game. And I often have the opinion that if you start using sliders, you're just not good at the game. Now, my opinion on that has vastly changed, especially with FC25. The amount of issues and errors and all that stuff amalgamating into me hating the game. It's hard for me to admit that because I'm a big time EA defender. But in all honesty, this year it is virtually impossible to play the game without having custom sliders, because the default and the simulation settings that you might or the simulation that you might put in place, those are all rubbish. It's either too slow or it's too fast, or it's players not tracking back in time, or players not getting forward in time, or players not moving at all. I'm a Man United fan. There's not one career mode that I've enjoyed this year when using Man United, whether it was with Erik ten Hag's 4-2-3-1 or damn near Ruben Amram's 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1, or however you want to say it. One, because now with the back three system, the centre backs are too far apart. Runners getting behind, getting between the lines, through balls, lofted passes, all that stuff happens. Or you keep a nice compact defensive three-man defense, and then they just walk around you, or they run around you, and the fullbacks don't track back. So with these sliders, these settings, these instructions, I think I've fixed it. And let me say this, not all of these are just my own doing. I've done so much research. I've watched so many sliders videos, and some of the sliders settings that you will see are from various different channels and videos, but I have adjusted them to fit how I like to play the game, and I'm trying to replicate the most realistic parameters. I make realistic tactics. I make realistic career modes. I'm all about realism. I'm not trying to make unfair advantages for myself with a CPU, or I'm just trying to make it a fun game for me to enjoy. So if you don't mind as well, let me know your thoughts and opinions of these sliders down below in the comment section. If you try them out, let me know. That would be fantastic. And also, if you think certain things should change, explain it. Don't just be like, the tackle aggression, why is it on 99? It should definitely be on 55. Well, explain it. It should be on 55 because these players are tackling far too much and it's injuring these players and this is happening, and then I can understand. But for the time being, with the help of several different content creators on YouTube, I've gone ahead and amalgamated a bunch of different things to try and get the best, most realistic, and most enjoyable. That is the most important thing, the most enjoyable instructions and sliders and all that good stuff that I want for my FC25 career modes. And I must say, the last 4 days that I have been trying these out, I've used Ruben Amram's 3-4-3 formation, and I've enjoyed using it. Because why? You don't just have players sprinting through your backline like it's just a hot knife through butter every single time. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's talk about the AI behavior. So the tackle aggression should be on 99 along with the build-up speed. It will help them build up from the back, launch long passes forward consistently. The shot frequency should be on 67. Now this has improved, and I have used this from somebody, I'm not exactly sure, but it does improve the amount of long shots that you do see in the game, which is fan-damn-tastic. Because before, unless they were wide open, they weren't taking many long shots. It was always walk the ball into the box and put it in the back of the net. Now, of course, that is the way that football is going, but you still see players taking long shots. It's inevitable. If there's some space, then the player is confident enough to strike the ball from that distance, he will do it. And that is exactly what this instruction encourages that player to potentially do. Whether they have open space or just a little bit of space to just poke that ball past the defender and into the back of the net, they will try and do that. The first touch pass frequency will be set to 70, as this does decrease the amount of time that the CPU will have on the ball when it comes to making the decisions of where to pass the ball. So you will see a bit more zip and maybe a few more passing sequences actually link up around the pitch, making it quite nice. It also leads to a few more shot errors, and sorry, not shot errors, but it does lead to shot errors as well as passing errors, because if the CPU's made a rushed decision, you might see a bad pass, and we will talk about that soon enough. But in terms of the crossing frequency, that will be set to 85. Now, with it set to 50, I would always find at least that the CPU would collect the ball, dribble it along the baseline, and then square it to the striker, who would then tap it into the back of the net. It was like the most OP thing that the CPU could do, or at least that's what it does against me. With this, you see a lot more cutbacks, not just from the baseline, but you see more cutbacks from the edge of the area. You see a lot more crossing happening. So if you're Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, you will see 47 crosses being played into the central area of the final third a lot more, which is great. But yes, there is more crossing that does happen. There is a lot more of that wide play actually resulting in opportunities being generated. The dribbling and the skill move frequency is set to 50 and 55 respectively. Now, various YouTubers have set this a lot higher. I don't know why. In terms of realism, it's more realistic to have it on 50 and 55. In my opinion, you let me know down below. But unless you're playing against prime Neymar at PSG or Barcelona, you're not going to see every player doing a flick flack or a little, sombrero flick or a rainbow flick or whatever damn near flick you're thinking of. Because when you're playing online against other players, yes, you will see all these things happening. But against the CPU in realistic parameters with realistic settings, you won't see that. Real life, you might see the odd step over here or there to, create separation and then beat the man, whip in the cross, put the cut back in. That's what happens. So that's why I have this on 55 and 50. Onto the simulation settings, and I have that set to custom with the wind effects being on medium and the weather effects being off. Now, I haven't tried these sliders with the weather effects. I'm still of the opinion that the weather effects are shit. But if you have tried them, let me know down below in the comment section, and I might even try them myself. Yeah, it is what it is. Otherwise, you will see a common theme here, but whatever happens to the user happens to the CPU. I'm not trying to create an unfair advantage here between myself or the CPU and vice versa situations. I'm trying to just incorporate a nice flow to the game. And for the sprint speed, it will be set to 35 each, as this does slow the game down very nicely. Beforehand, with it being set to 50, it feels like it's too rushed. It feels like it's too fast. You take a touch, you don't have time to really move around that much, and the CPU will steamroll your player, win the ball back, and then transition and possibly score a goal. If you're playing against Man United, they'll always score a goal on the break, especially from kickoff, by the way. Jesus, the amount of times I've scored a goal, and I know without fail, I know from kickoff my team switches off. It's been in EA, it's been in FIFA for ever. And again, with the back three, with the wing backs that don't track back, with the centre backs that don't compact, it's so easy just to run almost directly straight through the middle of my team, and it's impossible for me to control Bruno, Ugarte, Casemiro, whoever. It's impossible for me to control all these players, try and get closer to the initial attacker. And more times than not, they score the goal. And that's when I sit here. The last 2 months, I wanted to absolutely break this remote. And then I had to remind myself, I only have one. And if I break this, there's no more YouTube. So I've decided to just put this down, say woosa a couple of times, and just sit in silence for 5 minutes. And just watch the carnage happen of Semenyo from Bournemouth just run straight through my team from kickoff, and it pisses me off. But anyways, we've slowed things down ever so slightly. I often find it does allow you to take a touch, move the ball around. It also allows you to create those passing triangles in those tight spaces that we do see in real life football games. And again, the slower approach does allow you to successfully do that more times than not. Now, in terms of the acceleration, 55. When you push R2 to get that initial sprint going, you want to have that separation, and with it being set to 55, a full 20 bars or levels above the initial sprint speed, it does give you that nice boost, and it does allow you as the player to really dictate when you can have that boost, because you and the defender could be running and you're obviously in possession of the ball looking to score, but when you press that acceleration compared to when the defender presses it, that can generate that little bit of separation that you might be looking for, either to get the shots away or to move the ball into some open space to either pass to a teammate or again get the shot off. And that's exactly what you want. Now you can drop this down to 50, but I do like the discrepancy of the 20 with the 55 and the 35, so it does add a bit more, and it does allow you to create those breakaway goals. I'm not trying to eliminate that completely, because again, if you eliminate that, you're eliminating a key part of what transition counter-attacking football actually is. That's still in the game. That still happens with these sliders in place. So moving on to both the shot and the pass error, that will also be set to 55. Now for the shot error, you don't really want these shots going off and it's a 50-50 whether it's on target or it's off target. You want to have slightly more off target, because again, if you have the ball and you've mishit the shots, that ball should be going well wide. It shouldn't have a 50-50 opportunity for it to creep into the top of the corner or bottom of the net or something along those lines. And the same can be said for the pass error. If you're zipping these passes around, there needs to be more than just a 50-50 opportunity or chance that that ball doesn't go to the man. You want to create that level of uncertainty, and that's also why you don't really want to have the feeling that the ball's just attached on a string and you're just lasering it around the pitch. You want to have that element of, I'm in control of the player, but not the ball, the player. Before, when the speed was slightly higher, it felt like you weren't in control of much, and that did ruin a lot of it. Now with the pass error and the shot error being slightly more in favor of it not coming off, it does allow for that moment of the aggressive press. You mistime the pass, it rolls to the opposition, they get the opportunity, but they rush their shot and they mishit it and it goes into row Z. That's exactly what you're trying to have here. And again, going back to my previous settings video, I mentioned that I have the shot timing on. That is also affected with the shot error, because now the margin for error, due to lack of a better word, the margin for error with that is a lot greater. It's a lot higher. So it gives you a bit more control of your fate in each individual match. And I like that. I like that a lot. In terms of the shot speed as well as the passing speed, it's set to 48 for the shot speed and 46 for the passing speed. Now, because you have slowed the game down in terms of your player movements and your sprint speed and your so on, you also want to try and slow down certain things. Otherwise, it looks like the players are moving a lot slower than what they should be. And that's down to whenever you boot the ball, it looks like Superman's kicked the ball. Or whenever you pass the ball, it looks like the Flash is just zipping this thing around like crazy. So you want those slightly reduced. And both of these settings I've gotten from another YouTuber, and I must say, I can't argue with it. It's really worked out so well. Although I do think, is there really that much of a difference between 46 and 45? Is there really? Because again, I'm not that finicky. I will have everything set to round numbers or in fives, because firstly, like OCD, but secondly, I just don't think that there's that much of a difference. But I've left it on 46 and it's done well. So I will continue to leave it on 46 up until then. Now for the injury frequency and the injury severity, I've put this on 60. Some people also have it on like 70, 75, sometimes 80, because real life situations occur in games. In Manchester United's case, last year we had like 70 injuries throughout the entirety of last season. So you could say the injury frequency for the user in that case was at 99, because every game it felt like there was somebody that just ruptured an Achilles or tore a hamstring or pulled a groin or did something. I've put this on 60. It's decent. You get the odd knock here and there, which is great. It's obviously increased. And the severity, I have seen other people put that down to 25 or 20. I've left it on 50. I haven't had that many ACL injuries or so on yet, but I have that on 50. But again, you can alternate between if you want it on 50 or slightly lower, maybe even slightly higher. Now, in terms of the goalkeeper ability, for the user, I have it on 55. With the CPU, I have it slightly higher because I personally want a bit more of a challenge when it comes to shooting at goal. I want the goalkeeper to occasionally make that insane save just to make things a bit more interesting, you could say. But I have put both of these up above 50 because for the longest time in FC 25, I've always wondered why the goalkeepers are so whether it's Manuel Neuer, Andre Onana, Thibaut Courtois, Kepa in goal, it doesn't matter. They're all the same when it comes to certain animations happening. Now, with it being slightly higher, those certain animations don't happen nearly as much, which is fan-damn-tastic. Getting beaten at your near post, yes, we see that every now and then, but not all the time. Not at the frequency at which we were seeing it with it being set to 50 or previous default settings. Now they will actually make that near post save. Where I remember the once. Again, this remote almost went through my entire desk. Onana was there, great positioning, near post, the post was here. He's there, ball comes straight past him, past his hand and into the side netting. And I'm like, and that went in, not just side netting and out, side netting and in. I had to say Woosa, I had to calm down, I had to just sit here in silence and be like, what the hell am I playing? What is this game? So in terms of the goalkeeping ability, that has to go up. You could even probably put it both on 60 if you want. The frequency of easy goals that you now score, very limited. You have to hit the ball well. You have to work against the shot error, the frequency that the shots might go in, the good goalkeepers. All these things add up and they just make things so much better. As for the marking for both the user and CPU, I have increased this to 75. It will decrease the amount of space that the opposition attackers do have. And again, this is quite smart. So unless you're playing with the false 9 who drops into the midfield and connects with the deeper midfielders, the attacker, specifically the striker, if it's Osimhen, Maguire's not going to give Osimhen that much space to take a touch, turn and move into open space. No, he's going to get nice and close, engage with the opposition attacker, win the ball back, or if Osimhen does effectively end up getting the best of Maguire, then so be it. You can live with those results. That's realistic. That's actually what happens. But very rarely do you see the opposition attacker, unless they're playing against a less skilled team in real life. But you very rarely see the opposition attackers having as much space as what they technically do have with the default settings. That shouldn't be a thing. And it doesn't matter what roles you give them. Yes, you might say step up aggressively or stop a role with a balanced approach or so on. But even then, they step up too much and then it works against you because then you've opened up far too much space in your back line and one or two quick passing interchanges and they're in behind and it's not great. But with this, they will look to close down the space, and with the stopper roll and with the aggressive focus for those two things in particular, it's even more effective. So if Maguire is then set to a stopper, you will see him looking to actively prevent the likes of Osimhen from even getting that first touch because now it's a bit more of an aggressive approach. So he's effectively intercepting the ball rather than tackling the player and then winning the ball back. So it's things like that. And again, it does allow you to have a more congested midfield, a more congested defense, and that's exactly what you want, because that's exactly how these defenses work in real life. They're not just going to switch off and let the player play with the ball in front of them and be like, oh yeah, look at you, man, you go. They're not going to do that. So that you want to reduce the space, and that's why I have it set to 75. In terms of the run frequency, a lot of people have had issues with it, with especially when in possession, having certain players move up the pitch. I find it's very frustrating with the wing backs in Ruben Amorim's system. It doesn't matter, or it does matter, but it's a give and take situation. So if you have them set to wide midfielders, they'll look to track back a bit more. But if you have them set to a balanced wide midfield, they very rarely will track back or get forward. They'll just more or less be in the wide zones. For the winger, it works slightly different, but they very rarely make that forward run. Now, I don't mind using the L1 button. Send them on that run, get them in behind, feed them the pass, and then they can square it back or cross the ball or something along those lines. But also with various other sliders intact, it does allow the run frequency of the central players like a Mason Mount or a Bruno Fernandes. And I am using Manchester United a lot more because that's the team I've been using. That's fresh in my mind, but you'll see them passing and moving a little bit more now. And again, it's not really to do with the run frequency being set to 50, because it's normally set to 50. It's more or less other things like the marking, like the line height, like the positioning of certain players. So there's that too. As for the line height, for the user as well as the CPU, it will also be set to 55. Now, this will obviously dictate whether the line press is slightly higher up the field or not, which is very frustrating, because what's the point of setting the defensive approach to deep, balanced, high, or aggressive? Surely those four things should dictate the line height. But of course, this has been slightly increased, as it will allow the opposition or your defense to slightly step up and just be a bit more aggressive, and also minimize that space that we were talking about in terms of the position and the marking and so on. Now, for the line length along with the line's width, I've set this to 30 for the line's length, looking to reduce the space, compact that central area, especially if you are playing with a back three. For a back four, it is slightly different, but it will still compact in those central zones, and it'll use the fullbacks to also drop in a bit more and make sure that they can't, or the opposition can't, just thread those through ball passes all the time, because again, that doesn't always happen. That really doesn't always happen. And the line width also why can't I say this? And the line width also contributes to that as well. Jesus Christ, I can't even speak. It does specify whether the team should be slightly more stretched when in possession of the ball or not, and I have set this to 55, again generating a bit more space between the lines for you to be able to play those passes and have a bit more time and space on the ball. So again, 55 for both user and CPU. Now, this is a big one, but the fullback positioning. Now, obviously with the 3-4-2-1, there's no fullbacks, but the wide players will then take up that fullback position. So you will see their positioning be a lot more smarter, a lot more locked into what you're requiring, whether it's moving up the pitch when in possession or dropping back to defend. Dalot and Mazraoui and potentially Amad Diallo will all drop back and defend at times when out of possession, creating that back five or creating that front five when moving forward. And of course, you will have to trigger the run sometimes with the L1 button, but nonetheless, it works so well. And this is also a big reason why I've actually started enjoying playing with Manchester United, because again, if it was a back three system, I was never going to use it, and that's BS, because I'm all about realism. I want to be Ruben Amorim. I want to lead my team to the Premier League title. And for those of you making the jokes of that's the only time you'll be seeing United win a Premier League title in FC25, well, shame on you. I saw it in 2013, so, and before then too. Pointers, power bar user 50, but the first touch control of user and CPU. I've put this up a bit more. It does allow for more margin for error, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want to have that magnetic touch and fully in control of the ball and feel like you're just a robot walking with this ball around by your foot. You want to have a bit more leeway to lose possession, or leeway to win back possession. The pressing in the midfield, it becomes a lot more effective, and you see a lot more 50-50 duels happening, a lot more shoulder to shoulder opportunities being created, whether you can win the ball back or you can maintain the ball. And again, that's more or less what you're looking for. So there you go, people. That is my sliders for FC25. I do hope you enjoy using these tactics, and I do hope that it does bring a lot of enjoyment back to your game, just like how it's done for me personally. I've really actually enjoyed playing the United career mode that I currently have behind the scenes. Like, it's honestly, it's a breath of fresh air. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm decent at FIFA. EA, whatever you want to call it. I'm decent. I'm not amazing. I'm not #1 ranked in the world, but I'm decent. But this year, because of the inconsistencies that we have seen, or the title updates that have changed various things that have made things worse or better, or one week it's this, the next week it's that, there's no real consistency and flow to how the game's supposed to be played. It's made me think I'm washed. And in my old age, yes, it's fine to maybe think bro is washed, Unk is washed, and I'm not washed, people. It's just a bad game. When I'm blaming my tools here. No, point is though, the game is bad. I've seen so many people complain about it, and if this can help you just enjoy that, then it's a job well done from yours truly. And again, the various other YouTubers that I watched their content and took certain things and certain bits of information from to try and see how the stuff works. So yes. Anyways, you guys can let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you soon enough.